At the same time, this week, the former president's two eldest sons testified in the case in sometimes heated exchanges, attempting to shift the blame of the fraud to the organization's primary accountant. And while Trump wasn't in the courtroom this week, he's clearly watching this closely. He's posted on his social media site, quote, "So sad to see my sons being persecuted in a political witch hunt." Joining me now is Michael Cohen. He's the former personal attorney for Donald Trump. He's the principal of the crisis management firm Crisis X and the New York Times author of the New York Times bestselling author of the books Revenge: How Donald Trump Weaponized the Department of Justice Against His Critics, and Disloyal, a memoir. He also hosts the podcast Mea Culpa with Michael Cohen and The Political Beatdown. Michael, it's good to see you. First of all, I just want to talk to you about this because you have testified. You've really been the main witness in this trial. How are you doing?
I'm hanging in there. As Judge Engoron said, he's received hundreds of voicemails and threats and, letters and, emails and so on. That's just a small amount of the hate that I've received from MAGA supporters of Donald Trump over the course of the past couple of weeks. First, when I was initially supposed to testify, and then, of course, when I ultimately did testify. I would like to see that gag order include witnesses in here. Witnesses should be protected to the same extent that law clerks and staff and the judge himself, prosecutors. Chris Kise, Trump's attorney, Alina Habba, and Cliff Robert, they're out of control. They're trying to take on Donald's persona. And in so doing, all they're doing is fostering this hatred and this inappropriate behavior by civilians outside of the process from continuing to do the things that they're currently doing, which are really abhorrent. It's witness intimidation, it's obstruction of justice, and it'd be nice to see Engoron include that in the gag order.
Chris Kise is an experienced lawyer. Alina Habba, who you mentioned, is not. She's largely done nothing in her career except work for Donald Trump. Yesterday, I want to get your reaction to this. She stormed out of the court and said this.
President Trump wanted to inflate his net worth on a statement of financial condition. His brand alone could double, triple it.
She called out the president's adult sons who are in their 40s. He said they're innocent children. But let's go back to this brand thing. Donald Trump, the whole point of this case, the reason why this is so troubling to Donald Trump is that Arthur Engoron and Letitia James and you have proved that the emperor has no clothes. Donald Trump, this self-made billionaire, is neither self-made and possibly not a billionaire.
Well, I'm sure if you take the assets and you add them up, they are certainly worth $1 billion. That, of course, discounts the fact that there are outstanding obligations, liabilities on those assets. But putting all that aside, you're correct. Alina Habba has no idea what she's doing. She's playing to a party of one. All she's doing is parroting the buzzwords that Donald likes to hear. And she's in her mind, she thinks that she's effective in all of their combined minds. They think that what they're doing is going to help them in this case. One of Alina's biggest problems when she parrots Trump about the brand value is she has no idea. How do you even determine a brand value? Are you going to take a 2-page document from an individual that claimed it was worth $3 billion? That's what they want to do. That's what they want you to believe. But how do you determine a brand's value? Obviously, I know you've had on the show Donnie Deutsch. He's a great guy to be asking about stuff like this. But the brand value should be predicated upon what that brand will bring to a deal. So Take a look at Trump's name in areas outside of real estate: Trump Vodka, Trump Mortgage, Trump University, Trump Steaks, Trump Ice. You can go on and on of the failed business ventures that were licensed to use his name. So if something produces a company that cannot generate profit, how do you anticipate that there's a brand value here of $3 billion or more? Why? Well, the same way that Trump talked about the statement of financial condition. It's all about what he believes, and what he believes, he thinks everybody else should believe.
Let me ask you, Mary Trump tweeted about Eric Trump's testimony. She said, quote, "Unbelievable. Eric testified today and basically just lost the entire case. After testifying that he never heard about the Trump Organization statement of financial condition until recently, he later admitted that he knew about it in 2013. After saying he never worked on it, he was showed an email where employees were told he was working on it. They lie so much they can't even keep track of their own BS. Sounds like perjury is on today's menu," end quote. Talk to me about this.
Listen, Mary Trump is spot on. I've been saying the exact same thing. Don Jr. and Eric lied under oath. In fact, all they're doing is emulating their father, who was put on the stand under oath by Judge Engoron in regard to statements that he made outside the courtroom about the judge's law clerk, claiming it was me. She's 100% correct. I mean, the guy lies the way that you breathe, and the kids are doing the same thing. How stupid do they have to be? And it's sad to say, how stupid do you have to be when you're Eric Trump, for example, executive vice president of the Trump Organization, and you claim that all you really do is pour concrete? Let me be very clear. Eric has never poured concrete in his life. He wouldn't know how to pour Kwikset by adding water to it. And Don Jr. claims that he was just a broker. They were not just brokers, and Eric did not pour concrete. They were in charge of running the company while their father was president, under the control of Alan Weisselberg, who is the trustee. Plain and simple. And the emails, did they not think that government had the emails? Did they not think that they were going to show it to them? They think that this is some sort of a joke, that this is just, hey, we're going to rely upon Michael Cohen's testimony, who claims he was there in the room with Alan Weisselberg and Patrick Burney and Jeff McConney and so on. We're just going to rely upon them. I mean, is that what they thought? They thought that this case is not going to be predicated off of documentary evidence. I mean, again, Chris Kise, Alina Habba, and then you have Cliff Robert. What sort of preparation did they get from these three legal beagles? And the answer is clearly zilch.
Michael, you're brave for what you're doing. This has been tough. You were in there facing Donald Trump for the first time since your own troubles, between looking at you and looking at Letitia James and looking at that judge, who are all coming down on him. This is definitely taking a toll on Donald Trump. Thanks for being here, my friend.